Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Rachel Stanislas of Dakitesh Rizal celebrated a major milestone on Friday, her 100th birthday. She was surrounded by a small group of close family given the current concerns about COVID-19. Her daughter-in-law, Anselma Stanislas, says the family is saddened at not being able to celebrate her birthday as they would have liked to, but they are grateful that she has lived to see such a milestone and that they are still able to share conversations and laughter with her.
On behalf of the Stanislas family, I want to say we're all happy Tees is here. We did have a party planned for her for Mother's Day. Unfortunately, because of Corona, we wouldn't be having it. Majority of her sons are overseas. She has 2 in St. Croix, in America. She has them spread all over, and the others are in St. Lucia. Unfortunately, we can't come together, but with God's willing and keep her health as it is, we will be able to celebrate her birthday most probably by early next year or late next year, whenever it comes.
Her 14-year-old great-granddaughter, Bonella Fassois, says Stanislas has been a pillar of strength in her life.
My great-grandmother is one of the many inspirations in my life. She is one of the strongest people I know, and I'm happy that she has passed this milestone. I know that she is very strong and that she'll live to see many, many more. And I just thank God that she is healthy and happy and here to celebrate with her family.
Stanislas, who was a vendor for many years, says her work was always very physical. Now, at her golden age of 100, she can still recall and recount treasured memories.
Oui, c'est juste c'est à caba anti problème de là. Ou ça ouais clair. Na on bagaille mais moi jodi a. Est-ce que manger bonbon déjà?
The centenarian is mother to 12 children. Local manufacturers Winwood and Leeward Brewery Limited, WLBL, and St. Lucia Distillers Group of Companies are urging consumers to ensure that they consume alcohol responsibly after government reinstated liquor licenses. Shaka Wooding reports.
Under the current state of emergency in St. Lucia, the government suspended liquor licenses on March 29, 2020 as part of measures to control social distancing and the spread of COVID-19. However, effective May 8, 2020, the ban was suspended, allowing citizens to purchase liquor at various supermarkets and authorized outlets. Local manufacturers of alcohol, Winwood and Leeward Brewery Limited and St. Lucia Distillers Group of Company, have come forward under collaborative effort I Pledge to Drink Right to ensure that consumers drink responsibly. According to Corporate Affairs Manager at WLBL-DBC, Fayola Ferdinand, over the years, the entities have worked together to continue in partnership with many stakeholders to encourage responsible attitudes towards the consumption of alcohol, both on premise and at home. As manufacturers and distributors of alcohol, she says it is important that the entities recognize their role in communicating the message of safe drinking to consumers and customers. With the lifting of the alcohol ban after several weeks, WLBL-DBC and SLD wish to thank the government of St. Lucia for its decision to move forward and allow the companies to re-energize its 364 dedicated employees and continue to do their part as local manufacturers in the overall contribution they make to St. Lucia's economy. Port 7 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
Shanghai Disneyland has reopened with new social distancing measures in place, despite new cases of coronavirus emerging across the country. New coronavirus clusters have been reported in Wuhan City, where the virus first emerged, and the northeastern province of Jilin in China. Wuhan reported 5 new cases on Monday after confirming its first case since the 3rd of April on Sunday. CNN's David Culver reports.
China is also reporting 17 new cases, including 5 in Wuhan, where the outbreak began. But the new cases have not stopped Shanghai Disneyland from officially reopening. And CNN's David Culver is live from the park in Shanghai with more. So, David, how's this going to work?
Allison, I'm struggling a bit with this. I mean, what a juxtaposition for what we've been covering for the past 4 months. And here we are now talking about other cities in China, one in particular in northeastern China, going on a Wuhan-like lockdown. Meantime, you've got Shanghai easing restrictions. In some places, you don't even need to wear a mask. Here in Disneyland, they're still requiring that when you're down on the street with the public. But we were able to get rare access into how they were able to get to this point. And perhaps it's going to be a model for how parks in the U.S. and in Europe eventually open. Take a look. Welcome into Shanghai Disneyland, where we are getting a sneak peek of what the new operations are going to look like for this park and reopening 3.5 months after they had to shut down because of the novel coronavirus outbreak here in China. Now, normally, when you're in the park as they reopen, you're going to have to wear a mask. We're able to take ours off because the crowd isn't in just yet. But as you can see, the preparations are underway. They've used this time to rethink how they're going to have people coming in safely, keeping that social distance, and avoiding any sort of contact, not only with each other, but also with cast members. So it's going to have things looking a little bit differently. I'm going to take you outside the park to show you how we got in with Senior Vice President of Operations, Andrew Bolstein.
We ask our guests to do a few things now differently than before. One is we ask every one of our guests to have temperature screening as they arrive here at the resort. We also ask them to show their QR code, which is a Shanghai specific health code. We put a little more structured decaling and markers in place. So these are very clear. Don't stand here, yeah. And then you stand in the blank space in between. As always, we require government ID to redeem your tickets at the entrance, but we're also going to be capturing government ID information for every guest that comes into the park, not just one per party, as part of the traceability measures that we have in place now per the government guidelines.
Give us an idea, I mean, as we're walking through, what folks will notice that's different. I mean, one thing that stands out to me is constant sanitation.
Yes, so we have a very dedicated team of custodial cleaners that we've even increased the numbers of those throughout the park that are constantly wiping down all the surfaces.
And noticing that parade go by, obviously a distance, but
yes,
you can still see the characters.
Yes.
Not the big hug and high fives, right?
Exactly. More of a selfie moment and take the photos, but again, it gives the guests that ability to have that emotional moment and that connection.
As you're walking along the line here, you'll notice the places you can stop and the places you need to keep a distance. And then eventually, you make it to the attraction. Notice this, I want to point this out. As I go into number 1, normally you have number 2 to go into. They've got it roped off. Stepping off the ride, the new normal. And they've got several more along the way out.
Ask for the guest's understanding that for your health and safety, the table's unavailable. So basically, we're asking the guests not to sit here, sit there, and again, it creates kind of that separation between all the different parties.
Safe spacing even for the performances. This is one of the stages. Look here in the crowd. Pick a box. That's where you and your family unit will stand, keeping that distance.
We'll be able to strike that right balance between the safety and health and confidence side and then the magic that we're able to deliver every day.
Do you feel in many ways that not only other parts of the company are looking here and other parks hopefully going to be reopening, but maybe even other companies saying, let me see how they're doing it. Maybe this could help us reopen too.
Everywhere's a little bit different though. There's different regulations, there's different environments, people are at different phases of the epidemic. But I think what we have can be a model, hopefully some inspiration for them, and they'll adapt it for what their local conditions are. Same thing with the other operators around the world. We communicate and we share. In this type of environment where we want to focus on safety and health, that's an area we all share together.
And now that it is officially reopened, Allison, we spent some time down there chatting with a few folks earlier, and they seem to be just fine with these new measures. In fact, it kind of comforts them and the staff.
David, really interesting to see if those new measures will work and if the public feels comfortable going to a big theme park like that. So thank you very much for that sort of backstage pass.
Now in news further afield, a wildlife catastrophe is said to be unfolding in Africa, according to park rangers and conservation experts. They say the closure of safari tourism due to the coronavirus pandemic is decimating the industry and leading to an increase in poaching. The African tourism industry is worth almost $30 billion a year and employs almost 4 million people. Experts and rangers on the ground say they are seeing a surge in poaching as thousands of unemployed people dependent on the industry turn to wild animals for food. They also fear an upsurge in more organized poaching of endangered species. BBC's Claire Marshall reports.
Since this pandemic of COVID-19, the threat has gone high in terms of people wanting to do poaching.
This is definitely the biggest threat that we've seen to the conservation world. We are already beginning to see significant redundancies, job losses across the whole of the tourism and conservation sector, right across Africa. So the big concern for us really is that this may drive an upsurge in poaching for bushmeat and snaring, hunting, just to put food on the table.
Mostly, I would say it's a big five, that is the elephants, rhinos, buffaloes, and even they'll go for lions. Once these guys are idle, they don't have a job, they want an income, they may want to try other things like maybe poaching a rhino, poaching an elephant, and sell those trophies for their living.
We're out on a call for rhino that was poached, so we're hoping to find the calf. It's been a long night, and yeah, we hope the calf is still alive so that we can rescue it and take it to the orphanage.
People are desperate. People living on the bread line are battling to survive, just with the basics, just food. I've seen it gone up, I would say, tenfold on reserves parks. It's an income and a living for them. It's staying alive.
It's really tough to think that in a year or so this might be endangered. To be a conservationist, you have to be an optimist. So instead of giving into the doom and gloom, we're going to feel the discouragement, but just keep pressing on.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Sports and weather are coming up after the break.